If you're getting a divorce and you have kids, this is a PSA for you. 2 points. One, there are going to be times when you consider harming your ex just for the sheer delight of harming your ex. Maybe they've hurt you, maybe you're mad at them, whatever. Whether you choose to do that or not is up to you. Please understand that escalating a fight leads to further escalation on their part, escalating and escalating till everyone gets blown to pieces and the kids always hurt the most in the end. But there's something far worse, and that is there are going to be times when you are considering hurting your ex by using your children to do so. You're going to realize that you are about to weaponize a child for the gain of you, and not really the gain, simply the expression of your hurt and your anger. When you are considering that, indulge it. Go into that fantasy. Write it out. Write letters to your ex. Relish the fantasy, but don't do it. There is almost nothing you can do to your child that is more harmful than using them as a weapon against their other parent. The long-term damage is astronomical. Don't do it. Have a kick-ass day.
I completely get that. The trauma is calling you in, and you're wanting to get out at will. And to some degree, we do still have to function in life, right? We still have to go to work. We still have to meet our commitments and so forth. But we're not really fully ready to heal from the trauma until we're ready to go into the trauma. To go in and to flush and to flush and to flush until it's out. Until the pain is out of you, it's still in you, all right? And so your restarts of the book are good and they're necessary, but the question you need to be asking first is, am I ready to go in and stay in until it is done? That's the question. And it's a big question. It's a heavy question. And the thing about being in the trauma and purging it and allowing it out is that it's not easy. It's ugly. It's scary. It's not fun. It's fucking hard. But if you're journaling and writing the letters and so forth, it will come out. I love this question so fucking much. How do you get them to change how they treat you and to stop being rude to you? You're not going to like the answer, but it's simply this. Walk away. Walk away. Or pull yourself back from them. Pull yourself back from them, even if they're shouting loudly at you at how bad you are. Because the simple fact of the matter is, until you matter enough to you, you ain't gonna mean shit to anybody else. Until you have the courage to stand up for you and not back down, people are gonna treat you poorly because you're letting them. And it's not just stating your needs and your wants, as you say you've done with them, but it's insisting and not backing down, even if they walk away or even if they criticize you. You have to basically reach a point where you matter enough that you're no longer afraid of what they might do or what they might say. Because until you matter to you, you ain't gonna matter to anybody else. Do you have the courage to pull back, to step away, to walk away, to answer their phone calls less, to not bless them with the joy of your presence? It's like with a dog. You don't reward them. You don't give them a treat when they bit you. Have a kick-ass day.
The single biggest bullshit line I get from parents who don't want to accept the fact that they caused pain on their child, that they fucked up, that they did a lot of things really fucking wrong. Do you want to know what it is? I'll tell you. But let me say this first. Every parent fucks up. Every parent fucks up. And often in big ways. But the difference really between the really high quality parents and the ones who aren't as much so is that the high quality ones own it. They atone for what they did wrong either at the time, shortly after, or even well into the future. It's the parent who doesn't want to ever admit that they did much wrong. Or it's the parent who says, oh yeah, I did wrong, but we need to move on now. In other words, the parent defends themselves, or they say, no, you kid were the problem. In other words, they can't own it. Not a mark of good parenting. That's a mark of someone whose ego is so fucking fragile. Their very identity is shaped around the fact that, no, I'm a great fucking parent. No. If you aren't owning your shit, you aren't a great fucking parent. You're half-assing it. You're dumping it on your kid. You winged it. You half-assed it. Whatever you did. Every parent makes mistakes, often big mistakes. Often mistakes that cause pain or cause hurt to the child. But again, the good ones own it. But you want to know the one fucking thing that drives me up the fucking wall more than almost anything when I hear it from fucking parents who don't want to own their shit? It's this. Well, you know, kids don't come with instruction manuals. They do! They do. Did you know that there have been parenting books, high quality parenting books, around since the 1940s? One that is still in print today. At least one. So that means almost everybody walking the earth, at least in the United States today, was born in a world where there were parenting books at the fucking library. Did you know that houses of faith have been offering parenting classes for decades upon decades? The notion that children don't come with instruction manuals, that there aren't resources out there to help young parents, is a fallacy. It's just fucking bullshit. You just don't want to own it. You don't want to own it. If you're the kid of one of those parents, tell them to go fuck themselves. Tell them they're fucking wrong. They're just making shit up. They just don't want to own their shit. So let me ask you this. Who doesn't want to own their shit for the pain they caused you? Or what shit do you not want to own that you caused your child? I got schooled by a follower today. I put up a post in a good way, and I'm going to give this person a shout out. Her handle on TikTok is WTFMI, those 5 letters, and then the word doing, WTFMI, and then the word doing. And I had put up a post on cheating, and she basically said, I'm going to sum it up, and it applies not just to cheating, but any of your relationships, boss, subordinate, friends, siblings, parent, child, etc. She basically said, Sven, I was going through a situation where I was trying to figure out what this person was doing in the relationship, and is it going to change, and why are they treating me this way, and all these different questions. I was tying myself up in knots, and then I realized I was asking the wrong question, Sven, and I changed my question. And so my question, and before I tell you what she said, are you in that situation where you're wondering, when are they going to do what I want? And gee, why don't they care about me? And all this different stuff, tying yourself up in knots. Has it occurred to you that you may be asking the wrong question? And the question that she changed it to is maybe the one you need to consider asking yourself. I love this question. She says, I changed my question to, is he loving me correctly? I love that. That's brilliant. That's so pithy. It's so tight. It's so clean. Is he loving me correctly? In other words, is he loving me? Is she loving me? Is my friend treating me? Is my mother treating me? Is this person that I'm interacting with treating me a way that feels good to me, that feels right to me, the way I want to be treated? And either they are or they aren't. And we so get spun around thinking, yeah, but what about this and what about that? Are they treating you the way you want to be treated or not? And have you had the courage to say, you're not treating me the way I want to be treated? And insisted on being treated the way you want to be treated. It's not enough to just say it, but insist. And if they don't, then you have the come to Jesus moment, don't you? Then you have that fucking moment where you got to say, fuck. They're not changing. They're not putting in the effort. I don't need somebody to be fully formed and so forth. I just need to see they're putting in the effort, that they're trying to improve. They're trying to take my needs, my wants, my love needs into account. And if they're not, that come to Jesus moment is, so to speak, is basically, am I going to stay in a fucking relationship with someone who doesn't give me the love I need when I'm striving to give them the love they need? In other words, am I just giving, or am I actually receiving the love I want? I love that question. Is the person loving me correctly? So a big shout out and a thank you to WTFMI doing. Thank you for that. And for the rest of you, it's a good question to consider, ain't it? Have a kick-ass day.
The 3 biggest ways women contribute to toxic masculinity, or that anyone contributes to toxic masculinity, are: 1, when men are in a relationship with a woman or with another man or with a non-binary person, that very often they won't share their feelings. They'll keep their feelings inside, yes, because they were conditioned that way from childhood, but they keep doing it now because very often what happens in a relationship is a man will express his feelings, but then the partner makes it all about themselves. They say, oh, I can't handle your feelings. Or they say, I'm going to leave. You're not allowed to have feelings. It's all about my feelings. In other words, there's no room for the man's feelings. So the man gets the message, well, fuck, it's not safe to express my feelings. And I don't want to lose this person, so I'm just going to stick my feelings back down, precisely as I was taught in childhood. So the very first way that women contribute to toxic masculinity is that they don't allow room for it, that they make it about themselves rather than allowing for the significance, the importance of the man's feelings. That's 1. 2, but it starts way back in childhood, that very often mothers and fathers, again, this isn't just women, but I just did a post on how men don't share their feelings and how men are the problem very often in their own relationships. So now we're looking at the other side of it, okay? Back in childhood, a child isn't allowed to have their feelings. Very often it's about the parents, the mother and the father, and or the father. It's all about the parents' feelings. So there's no room for the child to have their feelings. And so what does the child learn? My feelings don't matter. And so they stuff it down deep inside. And they become one-sided. They become whatever society says men are supposed to be. Just tough, just tough.
It started back there, right? The third way is also back there, and that is if there is a toxic father that makes it all about him and the mother doesn't leave, where there's a toxic relationship and the mother allows it. And the mother keeps the children into it, in that relationship, normalizing it for the children. So then those children, the boys, go into relationships later in life and say, oh, that's how men act. I guess that's the way I should be. It sucks, it's ugly, but it's just patterns. These are the fucking patterns that men learn. And men have a responsibility for changing themselves and expressing their feelings and being kinder and not being the center of the world. So also women in those relationships with men have a responsibility to make room for the men's relationships, to not allow toxic men in their lives because that perpetuates the problem, but also not to teach children that it's all about the parents' problems. It's ugly shit. But where are you in this whole equation? Have a kick-ass day.